Hey everyone, today we're diving into a story that kind of seemed to pop up out of nowhere, but is actually about massive global military strategy, a mind-boggling amount of money, and a nation's fight for its very identity. So how did this all get started? Well, it kicked off with one incredibly blunt statement. Yep, that was former US President Donald Trump talking about, just buying Greenland. The idea was so direct, so out there, it just sent shockwaves around the world. And suddenly, this huge, ice-covered island was front and center in a massive international debate. You just couldn't ignore it. And that really is the big question we're tackling, isn't it? What is it about Greenland that makes it this must-have prize for a global superpower? Well, the answer is this crazy mix of raw military power, almost unimaginable wealth, and of course, the future of the 57,000 people who actually live there.
Okay, so to really get why this offer was such a bombshell, we first need to wrap our heads around Greenland's very strange place in the world. It's a bit of a geopolitical puzzle. So you look at a map, right? Geographically, Greenland is clearly part of North America. But politically, it's an autonomous territory that's part of the Kingdom of Denmark, a European country. This weird setup has kind of worked for decades, but that one offer, man, it put this delicate balance under a ton of pressure.
And this is absolutely the key takeaway here. This wasn't some casual real estate chat. The US and Denmark are NATO allies. They've worked together on defending Greenland for over 70 years. And then, all of a sudden, one ally is talking publicly about buying a chunk of the other's territory. It totally reframed their whole relationship.
So why the intense interest? Well, the first part of this puzzle, as you can see here, is purely military. For strategists, Greenland's location is everything. This quote really just nails it, doesn't it? It's the perfect way to think about it. A massive, unsinkable aircraft carrier that you can't move, perfectly placed to project power and keep an eye on a huge part of the world. So let's break down exactly what makes its position so valuable. I mean, this slide lays it out like a chessboard. You can see Greenland is right there, smack in the middle of these global powers. It's on the most direct flight path between Russia and the US, which is exactly why America's northernmost military base, Pituffik Space Base, is right there. It's an absolutely vital early warning system. And it's not just about what's happening in the air. The seas around Greenland are just as important. This area is called the GIUK Gap, and it's a critical choke point for navies. For NATO, controlling this gap is everything. It's how they track Russian submarines moving from the Arctic into the open Atlantic. So whoever controls Greenland has a huge advantage in the North Atlantic. And if you look at this timeline, US interest in Greenland is nothing new. It goes all the way back to World War II. Then in 1946, the US secretly tried to buy the island for $100 million in gold. By 1951, they had a defense treaty, which is why there's still a US military presence today. The big difference now is the tone. What used to be a cooperative partnership is now being framed as a potential takeover. But look, military strategy is only half the story. The other massive pull is what's buried under all that ice, a potential treasure chest of minerals and resources. You hear quotes like this coming from the mining industry, and you start to get a sense of the hype, right? They're talking rare earth elements, gold, you name it. Basically a treasure trove for our modern economy. The potential seems limitless. But what's the actual reality on the ground? 2. That's it. That's the total number of active mines in all of Greenland right now. This one little number tells a completely different story from that one of boundless riches. And this slide really captures that paradox perfectly. On one hand, you have the dream, these huge deposits of minerals that are critical for the phone in your pocket and the computer on your desk. But on the other side, you have the brutal reality. It's an incredibly harsh environment, the costs to get anything out of the ground are massive, and there are serious environmental concerns. The treasure's there, but getting to it is a whole other problem. There is, however, one massive potential game changer: melting ice. As the Arctic gets warmer, new shipping lanes could open up, creating what some people are already calling an Arctic Silk Road. These new routes would just slash shipping times between Asia and Europe, and Greenland would be sitting right at the center of it all. Okay, so amid all this talk of military bases and mining rights, it's so easy to forget the most important factor here: the people of Greenland. And they have their own dreams for the future, a future that includes full independence. Now, to understand that road to independence, you first have to understand their current economic situation. This number, 500 million euros, is the grant that Denmark gives to Greenland's government every single year.
It's a huge amount of money that basically keeps the island's public services afloat. And to put that in perspective, that works out to be almost 10,000 euros for every single person living in Greenland, every single year. This money is the lifeblood of their healthcare and their education systems. And this chart really just puts it all into perspective. That Danish grant makes up about half of Greenland's entire public budget. So you have this powerful dream of independence crashing right into this wall of economic dependency. That's the core dilemma. How can you be a truly free nation when another country is footing half your bills? And yet, that desire for freedom is so powerful, so deeply felt. This quote really gets to the heart of the Greenlandic independence movement. It's about a unique identity, a culture all their own, and the right to finally determine their own future. So let's tie all of this together, the military moves, the mineral wealth, the national dreams. What we're really watching here is a 21st century version of the Great Game, with global superpowers all competing for influence, resources, and strategic ground. You know, some geopolitical analysts see this as part of a much bigger and, frankly, more worrying trend. They're arguing that we're shifting away from international cooperation and back towards a world where big powers, the US, Russia, China, are just carving out their own spheres of influence, doing what they need to do to secure their own interests. And from that perspective, going after Greenland isn't random at all. It's a pretty logical move for an America First foreign policy. The goal is to lock down control over the entire North American continent and all the ways to approach it, securing the homeland above everything else. And this really brings us back to the people caught in the middle of all of this. With these global giants circling, all wanting a piece of their land for its strategic and economic value, will the 57,000 people of Greenland get to be the masters of their own destiny, or will they just end up as pawns in a much larger game?